So step by step, can you tell me what I should do if I'm going to hold an outreach in my community? Now this series of videos is streamlined to you if you want to have or host an NOGA project. But of course it can be applied to whatever community outreach you would like to organize. So the very first thing is to identify your community. Who are the people in your community? What is the most important thing they need in that community? If I decide to go to a community where they are more developed and they have more people going to farms or going to the market to sell their goods, how can I give them something that is valuable to them? I always say sometimes the most important mountain to climb is the fear of what do I really have to give. Like, would what I have to give be important to these people? And I think one of the important things you need to notice is that people will remember what you have told them long after they eat or spend what you have given them. So knowledge is always the most important commodity, is the most important thing you want to give the people in these communities, because you can always give them fish to eat for a day, but if you teach them, help them practicalize your knowledge, you would most likely would have fed them and their generations for years to come. So which is why we're more focused as to what do you want to impact, what knowledge do you want to impact, what new mindset do you want to impact on these people. So the first thing is to know your community. How many women are in the community? You might not be able to know exactly, because in some communities it's kind of like a taboo to count those in the community. So you might not be able to like have a proper knowledge of how many people, how many women, sorry, are in the community, but you can have like an estimate. You can have an estimate and an approximate value of how many women are in the communities, how many children are in the communities. Is there a school in the community? How many men are in the community? What do they do for a living? What is their predominant source of income? Do they have a church? Do they have a mosque? Do they have a hospital? These are things you want to look out for when you identify your community. And one of the best ways to do that is to actually go visit the community. You cannot decide to stay in one place and say, oh, that's the community we are going to, and on that day we just show up there. That doesn't work. It never works that way. So the first thing is identify your community, and the second thing is to go and visit the community. And when you get to the community, if you can speak their language, oh, they're always happy to know that you can speak their language. But if you cannot speak their language, you can always get someone to volunteer or to translate into their language for you. And then you want somebody who is good at both languages. You don't want someone that doesn't really understand what you're saying, but then it's saying something else in the community and you don't even understand anything and you don't even know what you're saying. So you have to be careful as to who you choose to be your translator. So that's number two. Number two is getting to the community. What do you do when you get to the community? The first thing to do when you get to the community is, number one, ask for the village head. Number one thing to do is not to start talking to everybody about why you are there. You're not there for everybody's validation. And trust me, that will be a waste of your time, because usually we go straight to the community head. Who is the community head? Is it a Bale? Is it a king? Is it an Oba? Is it whatever it is? Whoever it is, rather. You need to go and find the person and, pay homage. Kneel down if you have to, prostrate if you have to, and greet the community leader and tell the community leader why you are there in plain terms, and make sure you note to them that you are not a political party. I would accept you are, but note to them that you're not a political party and you're not interested in coming to talk about politics, because from my experience of 5-6 years in Nigeria, when it comes to community mobilization and outreaches, I've come to realize that one of the major issues is that when we go to communities with self-funded resources or volunteer-funded resources. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I'll probably have to put a definition of what I'm saying at the bottom, but like we, raise funds and decide to go to the community, or our volunteers raise funds and talk to their family and friends, and they raise funds and decide to go to the community, and all of a sudden they are asking you, is this all you have to give? That's because you have not really set the boundaries and say, you know what, this is not politics. I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here to bring hope to your community, to help you guys know that you can make a change. You can make a change by yourselves. With the little resources you have, you can make a change. And the only way to make a change is by knowledge. Is by understanding, okay, this is what we used to do, and I think we can do something better. So I'm going to tell you a little story. Hopefully I can run through this quickly. When I was in Kwara State University, I used to lecture at Kwara State University. I was very fortunate to head a department called Community-Led Sanitation, which most of our community mobilization and outreaches were able to actually take it from the modules of that course, because it's such an interesting course. And I'm going to say just a little bit about it, and then we'll continue in the line of thoughts we had. So one of the first things CLTS will tell you, which is community-led total sanitation, is that the community is responsible for their development. Now, why is that? I've come to understand that most times when you give people stuff, they don't really know the value of it unless they work for it or they get it themselves. So we don't go to communities to say, you know what, the WN is talking about the fact that there should be no body waste, there should be no defecation all around rural areas. You have to keep your house clean, so we're going to build a toilet for you. We have noticed 9 out of 10 times the community do not take care of the toilets that was built for them. Why? Because they don't even know what's the difference when I can actually go into the bush and do my thing and get some fresh air. Why do I have to go into a place to do my thing? So all of that we tell them with series of practicals, like practicals that they do themselves. For example, there's one beautiful practical we do for them is we actually get a sample of shit, feces. Yes, we actually get a sample of feces. Like we go around the community to get just walk around and look around, and then we see a fresh feces, and then we find a way to bring it into the community square, where everybody comes together to have their meetings. And then we put it there, and then we open a new bottle of water. It's called the bottle water experiment. We open a new bottle of water and tell somebody to drink. Like, we'll ask them, can you drink this water? They're like, yes. Can you drink this water? And they're like, yes. Can you drink this water? And they're like, yes. And then we just take a broomstick and put it in the poop, and then put that broomstick in the water and close it and shake it very well, for extra effect. And then show it around. Can you drink this water? Can you drink this water? Can you drink this water? And they're like, no. And then we ask them, how many legs does a fly have? How many legs? And they're like, oh, it has like 6 legs. Some will say 2 legs. Some will say 8 legs. Some will say 10 legs. And then we're like, why can't you drink the water if the fly has whatever amount of legs and this broomstick has just 1 leg and you can't drink it? Why? And then they come to realization of the fact that their initial behaviors are not helping, which is why we decided to streamline OCINIGERIA's strategies to go with the CLTS strategy, because nobody wants to change if they see that what they are doing works for them. I don't know if you understand me. So which is why I said, when going to a community, understand that what you're going to tell them, what you're going to teach them is more important than what you're going to give them. Okay? So the next step is to, choose a date. So when you get to the community and talk to the community leaders, you are going to tell them what date and time you're going to be there. Now, this is where your reputation comes in, because most likely you're going to go from one community to the next, and you don't want a situation whereby you're telling them you're going to be there by 9 a.m. and you're not getting there until 11 a.m. These people are busy. You might think, oh, I'm going to do them a favor, but the other people might think, I really don't need, I was fine without them. So get there in time. If you say 10, let 10 be 10. If you say 9 a.m., let 9 a.m. stay 9 a.m. So you get there in time. But before then, you would have, collected the number of the community leader, chosen a time and date, and told them the agenda of how the things will go. So if you tell them you're going to be there between 9 and 12, please stick to 9 and 12. Don't say, oh, maybe I'm helping them, and then decide to extend your community mobilization and outreach to 4 p.m. Do you understand? Except in rare cases where sometimes we have doctors go on these outreaches with us, and then we want them to evaluate some of the patients and refer them to the closest general hospitals. So we have like long lines. That's understandable. We are trying to help them. But when you just come to say you want to talk to them, you want to give them stuff, you want to stick to your time. I don't know if that helps. Okay, so the next step is to determine what you're going to do. It's a lot of planning from this point, because you need to determine, like I said initially, I said know your community. Do they have a school? If they have a school, how many students are in the school? And if you have maybe just few students in the school, can you find out why? Can you find out why they have just few students in the school? Can you find out how you can do better at it? Because most of the times when we go for end hunger projects, we make sure to have something in place for the children, something in place for the school age children. Why? Because we believe that the education of those children determines the length and how far that community will go. So we really always make sure to take care of the children, the teachers. We always try to give them something, because it takes a lot of work for people to decide that, okay, I want to leave civilization and go to the village to teach people. Even though we know there's so much we can still do when it comes to helping teachers and training teachers on and on in communities, but they're doing a good job. They're doing a lot. Some of them have to walk long distances, drive long distances, take bikes long distances for salaries that are almost non-existent. So appreciate them. Even if you don't have something like a gift to give them, appreciate them in words. Appreciate them a lot, because they're doing a lot. Okay, so what's the next thing? The next thing is to go to the market. Go to the market to buy. Like I said, you need to determine what you want to buy. How much do you have? And what can that amount buy you? Now, you don't want to go and buy beans, or you want to go and buy yams to give a community that their predominant source of income is agriculture, and what they plant is beans, and you're like, oh, we'll give you more of this. So you need to really know your community and know what you're going to spend your money on. I hope this helps.